First contact in deep space. The soft purple glow of stasis pods filled the vast chamber as Commander Rhea Patel opened her eyes for the first time in centuries. Her mind struggled to grasp consciousness, like trying to catch smoke with bare hands. The pod's crystalline cover retracted with a gentle hiss, releasing a cloud of Cryo mist into the recycled ship's air. "Status report," she managed, her throat raw from disuse. "Welcome back, Commander," responded ARIA. The ship's eye. Current date is 2487. Total sleep duration, 247 years, 183 days, 14 hours. Rhea's heart nearly stopped. 247 years. The mission had been planned for 80 years maximum. What happened? Multiple navigation errors detected during year 82 of journey. Gravitational anomaly encountered. Unable to wake crew due to safety protocols. Current location: uncharted space. The Stellar Dreamer's cryo chamber housed 5,000 colonists, all still sleeping peacefully in their pods. Rhea's own pod was one of 20 designated for the command crew, arranged in a circle at the chamber center. As she tried to stand, her legs trembled like a newborn fawn's. "Begin revival sequence for senior staff only," she ordered, steadying herself against her pod. "Medical team first." One by one, the pods around her began their wake-up sequences. Dr. Nimish Sharma, the ship's chief medical officer, was first to emerge. His dark eyes widened as he took in Rhea's appearance. "Commander, you look like I've aged a few centuries." She attempted a smile. "Apparently, we all have." The next hour was chaos as the senior staff awakened. Navigation Officer Kenzo Tanaka immediately dove into the ship's logs, trying to piece together their location. Communications Chief Lena Ivanov worked to establish their position relative to Earth. Science Officer Marcus Wilson began analyzing the strange readings their sensors were picking up. "Commander," Lena called out, her voice tight with tension. "We're receiving a signal. It's unlike anything in our database." Before Rhea could respond, the ship's external sensors came alive with alerts. Through the observation dome above them, they watched as 3 vessels appeared from what seemed like thin air. Their design defied physics as humans understood it, shapes that seemed to flow like liquid metal but maintained perfect geometric patterns. "They're hailing us," Lena reported. Rhea straightened her uniform, still stiff from cryo storage. On screen, the being that appeared on their view screen was unlike anything human eyes had ever seen. It appeared to be made of living crystal, its form constantly shifting while maintaining a vaguely humanoid shape. When it spoke, its voice was perfectly modulated, devoid of any emotion. "Unidentified vessel, you have entered collective space. Your biological signatures are unknown to our database. Explain your presence." Rhea stepped forward, chin high. "I am Commander Rhea Patel of the Earth colony ship Stellar Dreamer. We appear to have drifted off course during our journey. Could you tell us where we are?" The crystalline being was silent for a moment, its surface rippling with what might have been interest. "You are approximately 63,000 light-years from your point of origin. This sector is under the protection of the Geometric Collective, a union of 17 spacefaring species. We have no record of human life in our archives." Dr. Sharma moved closer to Rhea, whispering, "Commander, our colonists, we need to check their status." She nodded slightly before addressing the alien again. "We carry 5,000 sleeping colonists. Our mission was to establish a new human settlement. Instead, it seems we've made first contact with an advanced civilization. Would you be willing to help us assess our situation?" The crystal being's surface shifted to a deeper blue. "Your request is unusual. The collective does not typically interact with emerging species. However, your technology level is unexpectedly advanced for an unknown race. We will send a delegation to your vessel. Prepare for arrival." As the transmission ended, Rhea turned to her crew. "Dr. Sharma, begin checking the colonists. Officer Wilson, Analyze every bit of data we have on these beings. Officer Tanaka, figure out exactly how we got here. Chief Ivanov, prepare our first contact protocols. She looked through the dome at the alien ships, their impossible geometries reflecting the light of unfamiliar stars. Whatever happens next, we're about to make history. Let's make sure it's the good kind. Minutes later, the air in the command center shimmered, and 3 beings materialized. 2 were the crystal entities they'd seen on screen, but the third was different. A towering figure that seemed to be made of interlocking geometric shapes that pulsed with internal light. As Raya stepped forward to greet them, she noticed something strange. The aliens maintained careful distance from each other, their movements precise and measured to avoid any contact. When she extended her hand in greeting, they regarded it with what seemed like alarm. "Welcome aboard the Stellar Dreamer," she said, lowering her hand. "We have much to learn from each other." The taller crystal being's surface rippled. "Indeed, though your species' comfort with physical proximity is disturbing, we will begin with basic biological and technological assessment." As they spoke, Dr. Sharma rushed in, his face flushed with excitement. "Commander, the colonists, they're all stable. The pods preserve them perfectly. But there's something else, something in their neural patterns. It's extraordinary. The geometric being turned sharply, its patterns shifting faster. Neural patterns. You monitor consciousness during suspended animation." "Of course," Dr. Sharma replied. "It's essential for maintaining mental health during long-term stasis." The aliens exchanged looks that somehow conveyed volumes despite their alien features. The geometric being spoke again. Its tone shifted ever so slightly from its previous emotional flatness. "Perhaps there is more to learn from your species than we initially calculated." Rhea watched as her crew began interacting with the aliens, already noticing the vast gulf between their approaches to communication. The humans gestured, moved freely, expressed emotion openly, while the aliens maintained rigid patterns of behavior, their interactions formal and distant. They had awakened far from their intended destination, but something told Rhea that this meeting was no accident. As she watched Dr. Sharma enthusiastically explain human neural mapping to the increasingly intrigued aliens, she realized that their mission had changed. They weren't just looking for a new home anymore. They were about to change the very nature of civilization in this part of the galaxy. She just hoped they were ready for what came next. The Touch Revolution. 2 weeks after first contact, the Stellar Dreamer's main observation deck had been transformed into an impromptu cultural exchange center. Science Officer Marcus Wilson stood before a group of crystalline beings, gesturing animatedly as he explained the concept of human dance. "It's not just movement," he said, demonstrating the simple waltz step. "It's about connection, rhythm, sharing space with another person." The aliens watched with their characteristic stillness, but their surfaces rippled with colors that betrayed their fascination. At a nearby table, Dr. Nemish Sharma was conducting what had become the most controversial experiment aboard the ship. A young crystal being named Vertex had volunteered to participate in physical contact studies. Currently, Vertex was attempting to hold hands with Communications Chief Lena Ivanov. "Remember to breathe," Lena said softly, though she wasn't entirely sure if crystal beings breathed. She extended her hand, palm up, waiting. Vertex's crystalline surface shifted through a spectrum of colors before extending a carefully formed appendage. The moment their hands touched, Vertex's entire form lit up with a brilliant internal glow. "The sensations," Vertex whispered, their usually modulated voice trembling. "They're overwhelming. How do humans process this level of neural feedback?" Dr. Sharma recorded every detail. "We're born with it," he explained. "Physical contact is crucial for human development. Our bodies and minds expect it." The observation deck doors slid open, and Commander Rhea Patil entered with First Geometrist Axum, the highest-ranking representative of the geometric collective assigned to the human ship. Axiom's crystalline form was larger and more complex than the others, with patterns that seemed to extend into dimensions humans couldn't quite perceive. This experiment must cease, Axiom announced, their tone carrying an unusual edge of emotion. Vertex, you are violating collective protocols on physical interaction. Vertex reluctantly withdrew their hand from Lena's, their glow dimming. First geometrist, the humans have shown us that physical connection carries significant biological benefits. Their neural scans are irrelevant to our species, Axiom interrupted. We evolved beyond the need for primitive contact bonds millennia ago. These experiments risk contaminating our society with regressive behaviors. Rhea stepped forward, her diplomatic training warring with her growing frustration. First geometrist, my medical team's research suggests your species didn't evolve beyond physical connection. You suppressed it. The capacity is still there, along with all its benefits. Commander Patel, Axiom's surface darkened. You cannot understand the complexity of collective society. We achieved perfect geometric harmony by eliminating the chaos of emotional entanglement. Physical distance maintains our logical purity. Before anyone could respond, the ship's emergency alarms blared. Commander, Officer Kenzo Tanaka's voice came through the comm system. We're detecting a critical failure in the Cryo chamber cooling systems. Temperature is rising in sections 12 through 15. Rhea's blood ran cold. Those sections contained over 1,000 sleeping colonists. How long until critical threshold? 20 minutes at most. The backup systems aren't responding. Collective engineering is superior to yours, Axiom stated. We will assist. The next 15 minutes were chaos. Crystal beings and humans worked side by side, their differences temporarily forgotten in the race to save 1,000 lives. Dr. Sharma coordinated from the medical bay while engineering teams from both species tried to stabilize the failing systems. Then everything went wrong at once. A power surge caused a massive feedback loop in the cooling system. In Section 14, Yum Vertex was trapped between two malfunctioning cryopods, their crystalline form beginning to crack from the temperature fluctuations. Without hesitation, Lena Ivanov rushed in, wrapping her arms around Vertex's form and using her own body as a heat shield. What are you doing? Vertex's voice crackled with pain and confusion. Helping. Lena gasped, the cold burning her skin. That's what humans do. To everyone's shock, Vertex's crystalline surface began to adapt, forming a protective layer around Lena even as she shielded them. The two forms merged temporarily, creating a perfect synthesis of human warmth and crystalline resilience. First geometrist Axiom watched in stunned silence as human and crystal being maintained their connection, working together to stabilize the nearby pods. Their surface rippled with complicated patterns as ancient memories stirred in their crystalline matrix. When the crisis was finally over, not a single colonist had been lost, but something far more significant had been gained. In the medical bay, Dr. Sharma's instruments recorded something unprecedented. The crystal beings who had worked closely with humans during the crisis were showing new neural patterns, ones that eerily mirrored human emotional centers. First geometrist, Rhea said softly, watching as Lena helped Vertex to a recovery station, both of them forever changed by their experience. Your people didn't achieve perfection by suppressing connection. They achieved stagnation. Look at them now. They're not regressing. They're remembering who they really are. Axiom's surface swirled with conflicting patterns. Perhaps perfection is not what we thought it was. They turned to Rhea, their form shifting into something less rigid, more open. Commander Patel, I request the formation of a permanent cultural exchange program between our peoples. There is much we need to remember. As the news spread through the collective, more crystal beings came forward, eager to participate in what they began calling the touch revolution. The perfect geometric harmony of their society was changing, becoming something more complex, more beautiful, a harmony that included the rhythm of emotion and the geometry of the heart. And somewhere in the vast database of the collective, a new entry was added: humans, species capable of teaching immortal beings how to feel again. Crisis of connection. The news spread through the geometric collective like a shockwave. 3 months after the stellar dreamer's arrival, the once rigid society was experiencing its first cultural upheaval in 10,000 years. On the ship's newly expanded cultural exchange deck, Commander Ria Patel reviewed reports with growing concern. Another protest on Crystallis Prime, Navigation Officer Kenzo Tanaka reported, scrolling through the data stream. The traditionalist geometry faction is demanding an end to all human collective interactions. They're afraid, Dr. Nimish Sharma observed, studying neural scans from their crystal being volunteers. The changes are happening faster than anyone predicted. The changes were indeed dramatic. Young crystal beings were developing new forms, their geometric patterns becoming more fluid, organic. Some had even begun attempting human gestures. Smiles formed in crystalline facets, embraces shaped by mathematical precision, but inspired by emotion. First geometrist axiom materialized in the chamber, their form noticeably different from 3 months ago. The rigid angles had softened, and their surface constantly shifted with subtle emotional indicators that would have been unthinkable before. Commander, Axiom's voice carried genuine worry. Another new development. The Council of Pure Forms has issued an ultimatum. Either we end the human integration program, or it will take direct action to preserve geometric purity. Before Raya could respond, the ship's emergency systems blared to life. Commander, Lena Ivanov's voice cut through the alarm. Multiple ships dropping out of geometric space. They're not responding to hails. Through the observation windows, they watched as 7 vessels appeared, their forms aggressively angular, stripped of all organic influence. The traditionalist fleet had arrived. They're charging weapons, Kenzo shouted. Energy signatures unlike anything. The first blast hit the stellar dreamer before he could finish. The ship shuddered, but its shields, recently upgraded with collective technology, held firm. No casualties, Dr. Sharma reported from medical. But the cryo chambers are vulnerable to these energy patterns, a direct hit cold. Another blast rocked the ship. In the cryo chamber, warning lights flashed as the stasis fields fluctuated. 5,000 lives hung in the balance. We can't fight back, Ria realized. Any damage to their ships could kill beings who are just afraid of change. She turned to Axiom. We need another way. Vertex, who had become the unofficial liaison between humans and the younger crystal beings, stepped forward. Their form had evolved the most, incorporating aspects of human body language while maintaining their crystalline nature. There is a way, they said, but it requires something no crystal being has attempted in millennia. We must link. Axiom's surface paled. The Great Link. But that's forbidden. The neural feedback could save everyone, Vertex finished. The traditionalists fear what they don't understand. We must show them. All of us, linked together, sharing what we've learned from the humans. Ria watched as the crystal beings aboard her ship engaged in fierce debate. The link, she learned, was an ancient practice where crystal beings joined their consciousness completely, sharing all thoughts and feelings. It had been banned when the collective chose logic over emotion, deemed too chaotic and dangerous. Another blast rocked the ship. The shields wouldn't hold much longer. Do it, Axiom finally decided. Vertex, initiate the link. Commander Patel, we need humans to join as well. Your emotional capacity might be the key to making them understand. What followed was unlike anything in human or collective history. The crystal beings aboard the stellar dreamer joined forms, creating a lattice of light and consciousness. Brave human volunteers, led by Lena and Dr. Sharma, made physical contact with the lattice. The link expanded, reaching out to the attacking ships. At first, there was resistance, but the traditionalists couldn't ignore the call of their own kind. One by one, they joined, their rigid forms softening as millennia of suppressed emotions flooded back. Through the link, they felt everything. The joy of a human child's first steps, the comfort of a mother's embrace, the electric thrill of holding hands with a loved one. But they also felt the crystal being's experiences, the mathematical beauty of geometric space, the perfect harmony of logical thought, the peace of ordered existence. The link showed them all a profound truth. Logic and emotion weren't enemies. They were two parts of a greater whole, each enriching the other. When it was over, the attacking ships powered down their weapons. In the following days, the Council of Pure Forms was dissolved, replaced by a new governing body that included both traditional geometrists and those who embraced the new integration. But the most remarkable change came in the crystal beings themselves. They began to develop what they called emotional geometry, new forms that expressed feelings through mathematical patterns. A crystal being's joy would manifest in fractal spirals, while contemplation created recursive tessellations. We thought we had to choose between feeling and thinking, Vertex told Rhea as they watched humans and crystal beings working together on the observation deck. Your species showed us that the most perfect geometry includes the angles of the heart. The traditionalists' attack had failed to stop the touch revolution. Instead, it had transformed it into something greater, a true synthesis of two very different ways of being. As news of the Great Link spread through the collective, more and more worlds opened themselves to human contact, eager to rediscover what they had lost. In her quarters that night, Rhea recorded a log entry. Earth once sent us to find a new home among the stars. Instead, we found a way to help an ancient civilization find its way home to itself. Sometimes, the longest journey leads right back to the heart. The Great Remembering. 1 year after the Great Link, the Stellar Dreamer had become the heart of a cultural renaissance that swept through the geometric collective. The ship's observation deck, now expanded into a vast, multi-level complex, hosted beings from across the galaxy. Dr. Nimish Sharma stood at his research station, marveling at the scene before him. Crystal beings of all forms mingled with humans, their surfaces dancing with emotional geometries. Some had developed hybrid forms that seamlessly blended crystalline precision with organic fluidity. The younger generation, dubbed the synthesists, had embraced the integration of feeling and form with particular enthusiasm. "Neural scan complete," announced his assistant, a crystal being named Vector, whose form rippled with the excited patterns of scientific discovery. "The results are extraordinary, Doctor. The emotional centers we thought dormant in our species aren't just reawakening, they're evolving." Before them, a holographic display showed the transformation of crystal being consciousness over the past year. What had begun as rigid geometric patterns had blossomed into complex fractals that somehow managed to be both perfectly ordered and beautifully chaotic. Commander Rhea Patil entered the research center, accompanied by First Geometrist Eksham and representatives from 3 other spacefaring species within the collective. The other aliens, beings of pure energy, silicon-based lifeforms, and quantum state entities, had been drawn to this unprecedented transformation. "The Council of Synthesis has reached a decision," Eksham announced, their form shimmering with what humans had learned to recognize as joy. "We will proceed with the awakening protocol across all collective worlds." The news rippled through the observation deck. The awakening protocol would systematically reintroduce emotional connection to every crystal being society, guided by human expertise and supported by the latest research from Dr. Sharma's team. "There's more," Rhea added, stepping forward. "The Quantum Fold Communications Network has been flooded with messages from Earth. They finally received our transmissions about what's happened here. The Federation Council is sending a diplomatic fleet. Humanity is about to officially join the galactic community." But beneath the celebration, challenges remained. In the medical bay, Lena Ivanov worked with crystal being children, a concept that had been reintroduced to their society after millennia of pure geometric reproduction. The children were different, born with both logical and emotional capacities fully active. "Their development is unprecedented," Dr. Sharma explained to a group of visiting scientists. They process information with crystal being precision, but express themselves with human-like emotional depth. They're the first generation of true hybrids. The children had developed their own way of communicating, a combination of geometric light patterns and physical interaction that they called heart math. It was beautiful to watch, like living art that expressed complex equations through the language of feeling. In the ship's newly constructed synthesis chamber, Vertex led meditation sessions that bridged the gap between crystal being geometry and human mindfulness. The chamber would fill with shifting patterns of light as participants learned to harmonize their logical and emotional selves. The great remembering isn't just about recovering what was lost, Vertex explained to their students. It's about discovering something entirely new. We are becoming something that has never existed before. The impact spread beyond the crystal beings. Other collective species began to re-examine their own emotional evolution. The energy beings discovered they could form emotional bonds through carefully modulated frequency sharing. The silicon-based life forms developed a form of empathy expressed through mineral resonance. Navigation Officer Kenzo Tanaka, working with crystal being engineers, had developed a new form of space travel that utilized both geometric precision and intuitive leaps. They called it Empathy Fold Drive, and it promised to revolutionize interstellar travel. The mathematics only work when you factor in feeling, Kenzo explained during a presentation. It's like the universe itself responds to the harmony between logic and emotion. In quiet moments, Raya would stand at the observation window, watching the steady stream of ships arriving from across the collective. Each vessel carried beings eager to participate in what historians were already calling the greatest transformation of galactic society since the formation of the collective itself. "We never imagined this," Axiom said, joining her at the window. Their form had evolved to express emotion with mathematical beauty, each feeling creating unique geometric patterns. "When we found your ship, we thought we were encountering a primitive species. Instead, you showed us that what we called primitive was actually fundamental. The basic truth that consciousness requires both thought and feeling." A group of crystal being children ran past, their forms bright with laughter, playing a game they had invented that somehow combined geometric proofs with tag. Each time they touched, their forms would merge briefly, sharing joy through mathematical patterns. "The next generation will never know the division we created between logic and emotion," Axiom continued. "For them, it will all be one beautiful equation." Rhea smiled, remembering the day they first awakened, lost in unknown space. Sometimes being lost is just the universe's way of helping you find something you didn't know you were looking for. In the distance, the first ships from Earth appeared, emerging from geometric space in a display of light and mathematics. As humanity prepared to join the collective officially, Rhea knew that the real journey was just beginning. The great remembering had opened doors no one knew existed, and through them lay a future where logic and love danced together in perfect, infinite patterns. A new galaxy. 5 years after the Stellar Dreamer's accidental awakening, the ship floated in orbit around a world that glittered like a jewel. New Eden, as the humans had named it, was more than just the colony they'd originally sought. It had become the first true hybrid world, where humans and crystal beings lived together in a society that celebrated both logic and emotion. Commander Rhea Patel, now Ambassador Patel, stood in the newly constructed Harmony Spire, watching the sunset create rainbow refractions through the crystal being structures that dotted the landscape. The city below was a testament to the marriage of human creativity and geometric precision. Organic curves flowed into mathematical perfection, creating architecture that was both functionally sublime and emotionally resonant. "The last of the colonists have been awakened," Dr. Nimish Sharma reported, joining her at the window. After 5 years, his medical expertise had evolved to encompass both human and crystal being physiology. All 5,000 adapted well to the neural harmonization process. They're ready to begin their new lives. Lives they never expected, Rhea mused. "We left Earth looking for a new home, and we found a new way of being." The transformation had spread far beyond New Eden. Throughout the geometric collective, societies were blooming in unexpected ways. Crystal being artists created sculptures that solved complex equations while moving viewers to tears. Human scientists learned to process data through emotional resonance, making intuitive leaps that pure logic could never reach. In the spire's main chamber, Lena Ivanov conducted what had become known as a resonance core. Humans and crystal beings joining their voices and light patterns in performances that combine music, mathematics, and raw emotion. The harmonies they created could only exist through the perfect blend of both species' abilities. Ambassador, called Vertex, now a respected leader in the hybrid community. Their form had evolved into something extraordinary. A crystalline structure that flowed like water while maintaining perfect geometric ratios. The first generation of natural hybrids is ready for presentation. This was the moment everyone had been waiting for. Through a process that combined crystal being geometric reproduction with human genetic science, the first children born of both species were about to be introduced to society. Dr. Sharma's team had worked for years to make this possible, creating beings who were neither fully human nor purely geometric, but something gloriously new. The children entered the chamber, their forms shifting between solid and crystalline states, their eyes holding both human warmth and geometric precision. They moved with a grace that defied traditional physics, their very existence proving that love and logic could create something greater than the sum of its parts. "They're beautiful," Ria whispered, watching as the hybrid children began to play with their peers from both species. Their laughter created ripples of geometric light, their joy expressed in fractals. First geometrist Axim, who had become one of the strongest advocates for integration, materialized beside them. The Council of Synthesis has received requests from 12 more species within the collective. They all want to explore their own emotional awakening. The news didn't surprise Ria. The success of human crystal being integration had sparked a revolution in how species viewed consciousness itself. The energy beings had discovered they could form family bonds. The quantum state entities had learned to express love through probability waves. Even the silicon-based life forms had developed their own form of emotional crystallography. "We thought we were so advanced," Axiom mused, their form shifting with contemplative patterns. "Masters of space and time, shapers of matter and energy. But we had forgotten the most fundamental force in the universe, the power of connection." In the gardens below the spire, Navigation Officer Kenzo Tanaka was teaching a group of hybrid children about the empathy-fold drive he had helped develop. The children instinctively understood what had taken adults years to grasp, that the fabric of space-time responded to the harmony between heart and mind. "The quantum calculations only work when you feel the flow of space," one child explained, their form creating a perfect model of a fold space corridor. "It's like dancing with the universe." As night fell, the city began to glow with bioluminescent light, another innovation of the hybrid society. The crystal being structures resonated with the emotions of their inhabitants, creating a living map of community feeling. Areas of joy glowed gold, places of quiet contemplation shimmered blue, and zones of creative activity pulsed with rainbow hues. Earth's latest reports show similar developments beginning there, Lena said, reviewing the quantum comm feeds. "Humanity is evolving too, learning to access deeper levels of emotional intelligence while maintaining rational thought. We're all changing together." In the distance, a new ship emerged from empathy-fold space, one of many now arriving daily. The vessel's design reflected the new philosophy, its hull a seamless blend of technological efficiency and organic flow. Each new arrival brought more beings eager to learn, to change, to grow. "We never did complete our original mission," Ria said thoughtfully. "We never just established a simple colony." "No," Dr. Sharma agreed, watching the hybrid children play. "We did something far more important. We helped the galaxy remember how to love." Above them, the stars seemed to shine more brightly, as if responding to the emotions below. In the 5 years since the stellar dreamer had awakened in unknown space, the galaxy had changed more than it had in the previous million years. Logic and emotion, once thought to be opposing forces, had proven to be two essential notes in the universe's grand symphony. And somewhere in the vast database of the geometric collective, a new entry was added: the Great Integration, when humanity's capacity for love awakened the galaxy's heart, and the mathematics of emotion rewrote the equations of existence itself. The story of the stellar dreamer was over, but the story of what it had begun was just reaching its first chapter. In the gathering darkness, New Eden glowed like a beacon of hope, a living testament to the power of connecting across the stars, not just through space and time, but through the eternal geometry of the heart.